Everyone is doing. Can you hear me?
Will, are you at the reservations office?
Yeah, so in the past couple of weeks, because the pantry's staying open, they're able to give some of us that need the hours more than others some hours. It's still not what we were able to have before, but they're able to work with us a little bit to, be able to help us out in our individual situations.
That's great. Please be safe.
All of our custodial staff has been in the building since break ended, constantly cleaning everything, deep cleaning everything, and sanitizing everything. I feel safer here than I do literally anywhere else.
Okay, everyone. All right, we have quorum, so I'm just gonna get this going. Um, yeah, we got some stuff to cover on the agenda. So first, we have on the agenda commencement initiatives, like what's going on with that. So we have some members of the administration here to give some kind of like updates on that. Not sure what those updates are.
So this is Dean Williams. I'm talking for the moment just because I know that we have both Vice Chancellor O'Brien as well as Vice Chancellor Inglot on the line. I believe that Vice Chancellor O'Brien is having some difficulty with logging into the Zoom online or the WebEx online, and so has been given the dial-in information. So I just wanted to confirm that everyone's on the line right now.
Hello?
Hello? Hi, I think, Peter, I think you might be muted.
You can hear me, Erica?
Yes, is that Irene?
Yeah. Thanks for giving me
Okay.
the phone number. Sorry about the technical glitch.
No problem. I think, Peter, we can't hear from him now for some reason.
Maybe it's like the computer's microphone settings itself.
Maybe he should just call, too.
Hello, Peter Englot here.
Oh, great.
We can hear you.
I was on,
Hi, how are
I
you?
was on WebEx. I've been on WebEx calls for the last month, and I haven't had any issues, and I don't know what happened. But anyway, here I am.
Great. Excellent. So, again, this is Erica Williams talking at the moment. So I just wanted to, I know that this weekend I actually had an opportunity to talk briefly with some members of the executive board. So Kanat, Najira, Sabrina, and I had a brief phone conversation. And it was around the time where student government actually posted on social media to elicit just responses from students to see what their thoughts were about commencement. And so I know that that elicited a few responses from the students, I would love to hear SGA share. But really, I think the purpose of this is to just open up the conversation about what's been going on with commencement. I know that it sounds like SGA has some questions. That have come up, and I know this has been an ongoing agenda item for the last couple of meetings. So I don't know if anyone wants to kind of take a lead in starting. I don't know if is Sabrina on?
Yeah, I'm here.
I don't. Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, great.
Call in. Najir, real quick, are you able to see like with the roll call? Because people who call in don't have usernames. That might be the only problem.
I think we can do roll call after, just because
Okay.
I do want to get through this before noon. So I can start. So I think the biggest thing around commencement is students really want to see it happen. There's a lot of talk about, I know NJIT said that they're going to do like a virtual commencement. Students don't want that. So like Dean Williams said, when we put out the survey on Instagram, we asked students like what they want to see around commencement. And the overwhelming response was that they just want it to be basically pushed back to a time after all this is over, and when we can do it and students can walk across the stage and whatnot. And I think because we're an institution where a lot of our students are first generation students, like this is a big milestone for students, and we don't want to take that away from them. So we think that would be the best solution, just moving it to a time after, when we can just do the same type of commencement that was scheduled to be in May, but just at a different date. And then outside of that, we're looking at ways to still honor students who are graduating and who want to have the same type of like honoring that has been done for students before. So the type of things like Salute Week, or any type of remote celebration that we can do for them outside of commencement as well. So I can talk about SGA initiatives after, but I do want you guys to get the chance to speak as well from the perspective of people who are on the Chancellor's office and what's been done so far. And excuse me for my voice. I'm like losing my voice. I don't know.
Well, Peter, I can start, and then if that, or if you would prefer, this is Irene for all of you, and some of you I know and some I don't know. I'm a Rutgers Newark alum also. For those of you who I don't know, and I totally understand how important commencement is. Probably more than 99% of institutions of higher education, commencement means so much more for our students and their families. So, and in keeping with that spirit, excuse me, my throat is scratchy as well. All of us in the Chancellor's office have been 1,000% committed to having an in-person event when we can. So we hear you loud and clear. That has been our commitment from the beginning of all of this. So absolutely, there will be an in-person event, I think, and where there will be the traditional celebration. Students walk across the stage, and so we are committed to doing that. Our challenge right now is just scheduling and knowing when the right time will be. And I think there's still too much uncertainty about public gatherings, what the state will allow for the time being. And so, but as soon as we know we can safely hold that event, we're going to do that. So please rest assured, we are not going to let this amazing, important, critical milestone for all of our seniors, all of our graduate students graduating pass without having the celebration. So that's just want to make that completely clear that there's no doubt there will be an in-person celebration. The date to be determined as soon as it is deemed safe to have large public gatherings by the state. So we will stay in touch with all of you on that. Our commencement speaker is absolutely also committed to participating in that event when it gets rescheduled. So we are not going to lose any of the special aspects of that ceremony. And with Erica's help, the process for identifying the student speaker for commencement is still moving forward as well. So we fully expect commencement to be intact in the way that we had originally planned for May. So we wanted to find some additional ways to acknowledge our students. We are still exploring the idea of a commencement in the box or something, some way to acknowledge students when they get their diploma. We haven't fully gotten to flesh that out yet, but we're working on that. So if there are specific thoughts or suggestions that all of you have, we absolutely will consider those and would welcome ideas. We have heard from a lot of people in the university community that there would be, people would still like to find a way on May 20th to virtually celebrate our graduates in addition to everything I've already mentioned. And so we are moving forward right now with a virtual celebration of sorts. Our commencement speaker, who is also committed to being in person when we reschedule our commencement, has offered to do a message. We are hopeful that our student speaker will also be able to do a message. This will, of course, be recorded on video. And then there would be a way for students to participate and for their families to see their names on the actual date of commencement. We're working with a vendor to set up an experience, a virtual experience. It won't be basically a live interactive, but it will have aspects where students will be able to view the talks of folks giving messages and be able to see a slide that they will be able to customize, and they'll be able to send links to their families. So their families will also be able to on that particular day, at the time that commencement was supposed to be taking place, be able to see that their students are being celebrated as well. Their family members are being celebrated as well. I'm not a techie, so I'm not explaining this as clearly as someone might, but happy to have follow-up conversation and talk through what this virtual celebration would be. But it is absolutely not going to replace an in-person celebration. So I want you all to know that as well. Peter, do you have anything to add to what I've just said?
No, I think that was a terrific summary and really captures exactly how we've been approaching this. I would only add that as we're, I think you could hear it in Irene's voice, I think, and knowing her history, just how difficult it is for us to grapple with this too, that, this is a celebration that everybody in the administration and the whole faculty looks forward to. And so, we're really committed to making it happen without question. We're confounded at the moment by not being able to pick a date to do that, because nobody knows when crowds of this size will be allowed to gather again. But we're poised to seize the opportunity as soon as it opens and get the best possible date that we possibly can.
Thank you. So I think the other thing that we were discussing was what the role of students is on a commencement committee. So I know that President Barchi sent out an email, and in the email he was saying that there is a university-wide committee and that there's representation from staff, students, and faculty from all three campuses on that committee. But I know SGA no one was reached out to from SGA in regards to that committee. And then also for the Rutgers New York specific committee, I believe there's a commencement committee, but I guess just clarification on that as well. If there is a commencement committee, what does the student role look like, and can we have like a student seat on that committee as well?
So Eric, I can jump in. So so there is no campus task force or committee. Basically, we're it. Us, along with the SGA reps who are on the call, and you, Erica, and Vice Chancellor Thomas, as well as the Chancellor and her executive leadership team, are lifetime problem solving, trying to figure out how we move forward. So there is no, and we are, of course, working with the commencement coordinators from each of the schools and colleges as we do every year. So that hasn't changed. In terms of the university-wide committee, it's not a decision. So I'll start off by saying a few things about it. It's not a decision-making body. It was intended to pull together people to talk about what the different schools and colleges might be doing for commencement, and it runs the gamut. And it's largely New Brunswick-dominated conversation, because the challenges around commencement historically, even in a good year, are extremely complex in New Brunswick because of their sheer size. And so they've just been talking about what the different schools and colleges are doing, which run the gamut from complete cancellation and with no virtual to a virtual but no ceremony that will happen to just a ceremony to there'll be some kind of virtual acknowledgement and a ceremony. So it's really just idea sharing. It is not decision making. The decision making for each of the commencements has been based in what our code for our acronym CLUs is canceling units. So the decisions for Newark lie in Newark, the decisions for Camden lie in Camden, and so forth. And so there's just been some idea sharing. There has been no decision making. There's been no resolution. The scope of the system of Rutgers has allowed for a couple of vendors to be put forward, and system-wide contracts may get signed with some of those vendors. So, for example, the firm I mentioned, marching order, that we will use to help with the virtual commencement for Rutgers Newark, the system may sign a contract which would just allow for some savings for each of the chancellor line units. But that's essentially it. The decisions on commencement are not done at the presidential level. They are done at the chancellor level. There is one student, I believe, who was on one of the committee calls, and I don't know what school or college she was from. And basically, she was asked during the call to say, basically, she said, the students want to have some kind of in-person celebration, which we know is the case for our students in Newark as well. But there hasn't been a much anything more than that. And again, a lot of dialogue about what each of the different schools and colleges will and will not do. We have the combined commencement in Newark, which takes place at Prudential Center. We also have two separate graduate commencements that happen at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, one for the MBA and graduate students of the business school, and one for the law school. The intention is for both of those to get rescheduled at a later date as well. And so just to bring clarity on what that body is, it's not a particularly good use of our time. We have found after the initial sort of what is everybody thinking they're going to do conversation that happened on the first call. I'm not sure how much longer those calls will even happen because after the initial sharing of what each of the units is thinking about doing and some discussion about are there shared resources that we can capitalize on. I'm not clear it's going to go on all that much longer, these meetings, because it really was intended to bring some idea sharing as each of the units figured out what they were going to do. And I think for the most part, most of the decisions at this point are made. Frankly, I really only care about Newark and the decisions being made for the students in Newark. So that's just sort of the, and again, there is no task force in Newark so this is essentially our task force right here so that all of you on SGA can share what you shared with us, which was very helpful, and ask any additional questions or, ask us about any additional information you might need that we can either provide today or circle back on. Does that help, Erica?
I think that was Sabrina. Was that Sabrina who asked that question?
Yeah, it was me who asked it. So I agree with the university-wide task force that we don't necessarily need it if it's not really going to be making decisions and whatnot. But I think on the local level, if there isn't already a task force, if you're saying it's just like meetings and whatnot, I think one needs to be created. Especially when it gets to the point of decision making and all of that, because I think it's important to get the students' input once it comes down to decisions. Because right now we're just discussing yeah, obviously students want an in-person, but what does that really look like? What are dates that work well for students? And there's a lot of logistics that go into it that I think it's important to get student input on.
Yeah, what I will do is invite the members of the SGA to have a follow-up with us on the team, representatives from Marching Order and one of our other firms that we work with to help with commencement, so you can all learn a little bit more about what the virtual event will be like on May 20th. And then moving on from there, once we have a sense of when we can start to think about dates, right now the Prudential Center isn't even ready to talk about dates with us. But once we're ready to start considering different date options, we can then pull together a follow-up conversation with all of you, if that works, to discuss what the date options look like and other considerations that we might have to think about in this sort of new new normal or whatever we're going to call it moving forward. Would that work?
Sorry, so you're saying like once the dates come up, you'll just reach out to us in regards to like.
Yeah. I think what we'll do. So what I'm suggesting is we have a in the next week or so we have for the virtual. I'll set up a call with all of you so that you can learn more about what that's going to be like, just so you're aware for the virtual celebration. And then part 2 is we will follow up to set up conversations around of the rescheduling of the actual ceremony.
Yeah, I mean, that would be great as well. But I'm talking more in regards to like other decisions as well that are being made. So like not just, every now and then reaching out and this is great. Like I really appreciate you all being here and keeping us updated, but just having like a student who's representing all the students when these decisions are being made as well. So like when we're deciding to even have something on the date that we were having graduation, having a student there within the discussion.
Sure, happy to pull you all in on, and it just be patient with us. We're building the plane as we fly, so we're trying to scramble to quickly put pieces in place so that we figure out some ways to celebrate all of our seniors. But absolutely, we can put some conversations on the schedule so those of you who can participate, or if you want to have one of you or however you wish to handle that, that's fine with us.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. And then does anyone else have anything they want to bring up? Because I know you had to leave by 12. So if not, we can end the conversation here. But if anybody wants to speak now. I think Kainak, you had a question when we were speaking. Yeah.
Yes, I did. This might not be able to be answered right now, but I just wanted to know for the students that asked for refunds for their caps and gowns, would they be able to reorder if we postpone graduation and the commencement ceremonies?
So I'm sure that that there will be a possibility to reorder. The bookstore and the vendors who provide the caps and gowns have been also figuring this out as we go. I'm waiting to hear from them to get a little bit more clarity on how far in advance they would need to know new dates, making sure they're ready for it, because this is something that they're going to have to grapple with nationally, not just for Rutgers, Newark. And there are basically 2 vendors in the country that do cap and gown orders. So yeah, we're making sure that they'll be ready and waiting for some information from them on how far in advance can things all be done, mail orders. I mean, people may not be able to get to the bookstore, or just what the plans could look like from the bookstore and the cap and gown vendors. So as soon as we know more, we'll definitely bring you all up to speed on that.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that is it. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate you keeping us in the loop and updating us on what's going on. And we will look forward to hearing back on the meeting with more information on what the virtual celebration will look like, as well as the committee having a representative on the committee.
Well, okay, we'll convene a committee, and absolutely. So, Eric, I guess will you let us know how SGA wants to be represented?
Sure, we can. I guess
okay.
student government can talk about that, and then they make a decision about how they want to participate. That would be great.
Okay. Okay. Thank you all. Please be careful and stay healthy, and I hope all of your classes are going well.
Thank you.
All right, take care, everybody.
Love you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Stay safe.
Bye.
Okay, so next on the agenda we have the Emergency Scholarship Fund.
Wait,
So
wait, wait. We're not done. We're not done
No?
with the commencement conversation yet. So just for the sake of time, I didn't bring it up when the chancellor's office, people were here. But in regards to what SGA is doing, we also talked about doing some initiatives to honor graduates virtually. So this is like a model that I took from, I think it was Seton Hall. Seton Hall is doing something like this, where they're also, I think it's the Office of Student Life there, but I thought it was a good idea that SGA could do, where we could do like a Flashback Friday type of competition on our social media, so Facebook, Instagram, or whatever social media outlets we have. I don't think we have Twitter. It would be cool if we had like a TikTok, but where students could basically post like pictures or videos or something creative from their experience at Rutgers Newark, and then we can do some sort of giveaway. It could be like a Flashback Friday thing, and we can give like gift cards to students who post or who have like a creative post. So I think it would just be cool to engage students as well as to, like I said, honor those that are graduating or give them some sort of celebration outside of the commencement that was canceled. So feel free to comment, ask questions.
I like the idea because it will get them um motivated to still recognize themselves that they're still part of the university. We're still thinking about them. We're still on their side, making sure that we even us who are graduating in the SGA and the university body as a whole, we are thinking of each other. We want us to have the most out of this unfortunate event. So I like it. It's a good idea.
Sabrina, I don't know if you can see the chat, but I was asking like when would we have this giveaway?
No, I can't see the chat, sorry, but when would we have this giveaway? I haven't decided like a timeline or anything like that. I wanted to bring it up as a proposal and see what everybody thinks, but I think maybe a good time would be around when Salute Week happens, or usually happens. Obviously, you don't have it right now. And I think, and Dean William, I don't know if you would know the exact dates, but I think that's in like beginning of May, maybe, right? Beginning of May?
I think Dean Candid is on the line as well. He actually sits on the Salute Week committee.
Salute Week is supposed to be May 11th through the 15th.
Okay. Yeah. So around that time. And then also, so there is a Salute Week committee?
There is a Salute Week and Commencement Committee, but we
Ooh.
were informed last week that Salute Week would most likely be canceled for this year. But if there are events that you all want to do, Office of Student Life and Leadership will be more than happy to work with you all on that.
Yeah, I think that would be cool if we did like a virtual Salute Week, and still had like a bunch of virtual events that graduating seniors can tune into. Because we don't want to miss out on Salute Week. And then also there was the idea, and I don't know if this comes out of Salute Week as well, the gifts that seniors get. I know my sister got like a nice glass with like Rutgers graduate, like the graduating year and whatnot, Rutgers class of 2019. So if we can do like virtual, or not virtual, remote gifts like boxes or whatever to graduating seniors, I think that would be cool. I don't know how the logistics of that would work, but
I mean, based on the conversation from the commencement committee that I participated in last week, there was a plan to basically send like a graduation in a box with the diplomas to students. So, there would be certain like those items in the box when it goes to people, is delivered to people graduating seniors. I think that is already being planned, but I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the barbecue where they give out the glasses. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, we were in, we were planning a whole week long events, and there was a late night event that was going to be paint tip and those kind of things. But I guess we are trying to figure out what can be done now. But I'm glad SG is taking the lead on some of those things. And I guess Student Life, OSL, and we can kind of all together um, for that week. I think that'll be
Okay, thank you. But yeah, and you guys can also feel free to come up with initiatives. Just because we're not there doesn't mean we can't hold events. I think moving to remote events is pretty cool. I've been seeing like the Career Development Center has been doing a bunch of events, and other offices have been doing it. So I think it would be cool if the SGA also, help some nice remote events. So like I said, this is just like an initiative that I think would be cool to implement, but feel free to think of your own initiatives and try implementing them as well. So does anyone else have any additional questions, comments, concerns?
Hello? Hello?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Here
sorry.
you can.
When you say questions and concerns, are we just talking about commencement or in general?
Right now it's just commencement.
Okay, I have a comment later. Thanks.
Okay. What is it in regards to?
Oh, classes?
Oh, this is what you were talking about before. I guess you can make that comment now.
Okay. So I just wanted to say that I don't think professors are taking it easy on us. Me personally, and I've talked to a lot of students, and taking classes online is already hard enough if you're used to being there in person. So adding more workload to that just makes it more difficult. So I don't know if there's anything we can do about this.
So actually, that's like one item on the agenda that I wanted to talk about, and it's so I've been hearing the same thing. Like students are extremely overwhelmed. They're not getting their work done. They're not fully situated and into this online classes thing. So Carol and I made a form, and that's like how we found out. Like a lot of students are sending their concerns, and then I also did something on Instagram yesterday where I was like, "Are online classes helping?" And an overwhelming number of students were like, "No." And so I was thinking, like, is there a way for us to advocate for the assignment dates to be pushed back until the end, like official end of the semester? That way, students can hand in everything at once, like or however they want to do it, but the deadline is kind of pushed back at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I totally agree.
I do think the workload should be cut. Like, because, there's a pandemic going on. Like, we're restricted.
Mhm.
Like, we all feel terrible being inside. Like, and some of us, aren't used to, like, studying at home. So this is just making it way worse. And if they can just be more understanding, like, that would
Mhm.
be
Yeah,
appreciated.
and one other thing is that like they're even adding extra assignments. Like I know for like a lot of my bio
Yes.
classes, they're like, oh, like you can't go to labs. We're gonna give you like 5 assignments this week, and like a lot of my other classes as well. And I feel like a lot of people are having internet connections, like internet problems at home, and they're not able to do their assignments on time. So like if they're already not able to do the assignments, then I feel like it's unfair for them to assign extra ones just to
Absolutely. And
accommodate.
concern that was brought up is some students did not feel the need when they were on campus to reach out to the Office of Disability Services saying that they need accommodations because they have a learning disability, because their environment was in class. Like as long as they're in class they can understand,
Yeah.
but now they can't do that. And I've reached out to the Office of Disability Services and I still haven't heard back in regards into like can accommodations still be made and how would they go about doing that. And like overall it's not knowing, and the uncertainty that comes with the situation is putting students also in a situation where they don't know what they're supposed to do, and some of them are taking care of sick family members, or they're getting sick, and it just like
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it's like we all have other responsibilities, like working even extra during this time because of everything that's happening. And I feel like professors need to be more accommodating for their students.
This is Dean Williams. I'm listening to everything that you're saying. I'm not trying to interject in an inappropriate way. So if it's okay, can I just ask a question?
sure.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So, in terms of the professors not giving you accommodations, so is it that students are sharing this feedback with instructors and instructors are then in turn saying that they are not willing to accommodate, or are students even reaching out to the instructors? I'm just trying to get a sense of, because, in my office, we are the ones who are responsible for helping to advocate for students, especially
Yeah,
if they're having
definitely.
struggles with things that are hindering their ability to perform academically. So I'm just trying to get an understanding of, is it that professors are saying, no, I will not accommodate you?
Honestly,
I
I'm
think
not
that
really
they're
sure as
saying,
per this exact case because I literally just got this information last night and I wasn't able to send follow up. But I am planning on like asking the students like that, like, have you reached out to the professors? Because I do understand a lot of professors are being, like lenient and they're being understanding of what is going on and they're giving the students everything that they need. But I don't have an official answer for that.
I do. I mean, I can only speak with my experience, and I always reach out to the professor and I explain the situation, and they're just so like stern, like, they're like, oh well, like I even told one professor that I'm literally taking care of like two sick people in my house, and she'd even like she like disregarded that, and I wasn't looking for sympathy, but like she was like, yeah, but I can't give an extra credit assignment. Like, okay. And my other professor, philosophy class, he was like, I asked if I can get an extension, and he's like, oh well, why are you logging in 2 days before the assignment is due? Like, what is it to you that I'm logging in 2 days? Like, I have a schedule. I do my homework 2 days before it's due for this class because that's the only way it's gonna get done. And what is it to you? Like, I don't need that kind of response from professors like when the world is literally falling apart.
I also
No,
want
I'm
to
really
echo.
sorry that has been your experience, because that's certainly not, the way that we want professors and instructors to be interacting with students, especially with this high stress. And, we're in a pandemic, like you all mentioned. So I do want to encourage that if a student is in need of additional support resources, so that can be, temporary accommodations. You've had something happen in your life, so a parent or family member has gotten sick with COVID, you've gotten sick. I've seen these cases happen already since my office. Please email dean of students at newark.rutgers.edu, and we can help to get you a letter that then helps to advocate on the student's behalf. That's just
okay, perfect.
one solution, but I'm not saying that that's going to be the solution, because it really is the discretion of the academic the instructor. So where I think
Yeah.
would be helpful is we can loop in the academic deans and letting them know which instructors or which faculty members are, we're seeing these students, reach out about. So first step, reach out to your your instructor, ask them for an accommodation. If they say, no, I'm not willing to give you an accommodation, reach out to the office of the dean of students, which you all know me, so that's very easy. But for other students who don't, let them know that they can email dean of students at newark.rutgers.edu, and then we will work with that student to make sure that they get those accommodations.
Okay, perfect. Thank
But
you so much.
I also want to add one more thing. Probably like students like me who have actually reached out and had accommodated, like where professors have said that yes, it's okay for you to turn in an assignment tomorrow or the following week. The thing is that some students who may feel like me, we tend to like, I don't know how to explain it, but we are like those students who would like to turn in assignments on time. And because we have a schedule, like I think Kashmir said, we have a schedule. So even still postponing these assignments are still heavy loads on us. That's why I heavily agree with the fact that the load has to be cut off a little bit, because we are in a situation where we're still learning day in and day out. We're waking up with decisions that okay, we are going to keep up with our assignments, we're going to keep on moving forward, but at the same time we're keeping up with national instructions and restrictions, and it's not a happy situation to be in. So the fact that we are heavily loaded with assignments and being forced to push forward or push back and send in accommodations for assignments, either way it has to get done. And
Yeah.
it's kind of getting in the way of other assignments being done. So it's like we're just are we going to keep pushing back every single assignment? That is not what we want to do, and that is not a situation we want to do, because at the end of the day, we still want to learn. We still are students, and we chose this class for a purpose, for a reason, either to graduate or to get knowledge around that topic. So especially me pushing back my assignments is also affecting other assignments, and it's just adding more stress, to the situation. Sometimes I just like sit back and just give up because it's just too much. So I have sent out requests, and it definitely been pushed back, but it's not the best situation. And I don't think I want to keep pushing back my assignments over and over again. I don't want my professors to think that I'm a veteran of the situation, which is never the case. But I still don't want my professors to think wrong of my um, request. But also, it downs down to mental health. It downs down to the fact that we are locked down in this situation. People are probably with families and homes that they don't feel great at. Moreover, learn that I'm lucky enough to have a home that is quiet, but like other people do not have that. In that case, I have cousins, I have friends who are constantly saying that they cannot do the assignments, and even after they ask for a request to postpone, it still cannot get done because they have another assignment. Especially us seniors, we have the pressure of graduating. Us seniors, some of us, we need to pass these classes. We need the better grade for us to either get into grad school or just to simply graduate. So it's like the pressure is even more heavy on us. So we're lacking the fact that we're not going to have the graduation that we wanted to have it on. And it's not anybody's fault. That's no doubt. But it's just that we also have to think of the fact that it's a lot of pressure to tell students to ask for requests every single time they feel like they cannot get something done. That is definitely not the way we want to do things. And um, I feel like there's something should be done with especially the workload.
Can I add something? I just wanted to say, do you guys hear me? I don't know if I'm on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to say, like, instead of, like, I know we should reach out to our professors individually, but I also think that, I don't know how it would take place, but I think all professors should be notified, like, I don't know, by the higher ups, and they should get a message somewhat like talking about what we were saying here today, and that they should take it easy on us. And I don't know, maybe there should be like a curve at the end of the semester or something, to help the students out.
So
I
I
think
just
that's where the
want to
academic
mention that
senators.
I just want to mention that it's a message did go out to all course instructors from the provo, Ashwani Moga, and it did kind of, say exactly that language. I also think it's very subjective. So when someone says, provide reasonable accommodation for a student, it really is on a case by case, and it differs based on the course instructor, which is why we're trying to find out which instructors are kind of giving students a hard time. So that would be really important. And then also just keeping in mind that I know that it's not the most ideal situation, but I would, encourage students to explore a pass fail option, because that is something that is still available to students if they're concerned about the letter grade for the semester.
I actually had a question about the pass fail. So students who choose a pass fail, do they still get their credits intact? Like, do those credits still count to those? Because I think people were asking, and I did not have an answer for that 'cause I don't know. But first of all, is it too late for students to get a pass fail request? And also, will the credits count towards like the degree, the 120 credits that we have to take to graduate?
That's a great question. I'm going to strongly, because I do not want to give out the wrong information. There are 4 or 5 actually undergraduate schools if you count nursing. And so I would say talk to your academic advisor regarding, how that impacts your degree progression, because I think it's different depending on your academic school and program. So if you don't know who your academic advisor is, go to Run for Success, and you can actually send a message to your academic advisor, and you can ask specific questions in regards to your own courses and how that impacts your degree.
Okay, thank you.
Generally, for like the pass and no credit system, is that like if you get a C or above, then you pass and you get the credits, like it counts for your degree, but like it doesn't affect your GPA. And at the same time, if you get no credit, which is like a C or below, then it doesn't affect your GPA, and you don't get no credit for the class. So you'd have to take it again in order for it to count for your degree. But again, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's different for like each school on like depending on how they count it. So it's probably good to reach out to them. But that's like the general way of how they count it.
So if there's nothing else, we could move on to the hunger and homelessness alleviation commitment.
Harrison.
Harrison, are you there?
Harrison?
I know just a few moments ago, he was having to step in and out. He was messaging me privately to keep him updated.
Can you guys
So
hear
he
me?
might. Okay, here he is.
Okay, sorry,
Yeah.
my mic was just off. That's my bad. Okay, so I hope everyone's doing well. So I just want to talk briefly about the resolution that we all passed. It feels like ages ago, but like a month or so ago. Actually, let me pull up the Google Drive document. But RUSA recently passed a similar resolution. Um, so along like the one of our goals being trying to get a university-wide, like Greater Rutgers University task force, and um, just sort of like a university-wide approach to address this issue. Um, for our part as SGA, like I've been communicating with RUSA and Camden Student Government, and Brian Ray recently updated me. I put a document in the chat. I also sent it to the Rutgers Newark SGA email, so maybe that can be sent out later. But this basically is a drafted be a drafted alleviation commitment that would be forwarded to President Barchi, hopefully. So if you guys just want to hop on and take a look. So the framework of this is essentially the resolution that we passed. Although Brian Ray and some others also added some changes which are highlighted, like just talking about like the implementation and the need for a university-wide approach. So feel free to comment. Like, I don't know what you guys think about this document as a whole, how we should move forward with these efforts. I don't know if you could speak a bit to that, Sabrina, because this specifically asks for the president of every respective student government to sign this, or even Dean Williams, if you're still on.
Sorry, I'm trying to open the document right now. I'm experiencing some technical difficulties. I'm on my phone, so the app is,
Yeah.
not working too well.
I think it's very good and important that we're making the the connections with NJ Snap, because that's just kind of like absent.
So you guys also talked about Camden in it. I saw New Brunswick's resolution that they passed, but did Camden pass one as well?
So Camden is currently working on passing it. To my understanding, they should have it passed within this week or next week. And then this would hopefully be sent out as soon as Camden passes it. And we're talking about basically like he would use, I believe it's like some form of like Adobe tool or document that allows like for virtual signatures, just so it could be converted to PDF and then just emailed out.
Okay, makes sense.
I just wanted to share a brief update. I haven't sent this out to the committee yet, but Harrison, you'll be receiving this. The state did send the Secretary of Higher Education for the state of New Jersey sent a message out sharing that for the moment, due to COVID-19, there would be a postponement on the Hunger Free grant. So I don't know where that leaves things at this point, just so you know.
All right, thank you for that update. I mean, hopefully, like, even though, like, the grant application process has been kind of in limbo for a little bit, like, I still need to reach out to the vice chancellor, but hopefully we can get, like, some broader commitment. I know that administration is incredibly busy with everything, but it's still, like, these issues about basic need are more important now due to the pandemic than ever, and hopefully we can still get that commitment.
I definitely think it'll be easy to get the commitment. I think on the ground, all the administration has been working on addressing all of the emerging needs, and SGA has been a great partner in working together by establishing the emergency relief fund. I do know that in the past few weeks, the use of the pantry has declined, namely because students are not on campus or near the area. So I think the question is, what do we think about in terms of support when we're now in this remote stage? I don't have the answers to that, but I think I would definitely lean on you all to provide us with some ideas on ways that we can still offer support. I think the emergency fund has been really well received. Just so you all know, SGA has gotten over 28 applications from students. And so I think we're going to continue to see more students reach out for that support. But I don't know. I don't know what's to come of on-campus resources simply because some of them, like the pantry, can't be, just how do you do that remotely?
Yeah, definitely. And like I've been in contact with Ellen, and trying to like keep in touch with all these efforts, and Brian Conway too. And dining definitely like they're definitely like making these adjustments since so many students have shifted off campus all of a sudden. While still trying to take into account like the students on campus have additional need because some of them may not have transportation or anything like that. But I just wanted to share this with all of you, and like I mean, I don't want to hold up the meeting too long. So maybe if anyone has any comments, they can just make it on the document directly. And maybe like we can talk later, Sabrina, just about what you think about this, like moving forward. We're talking about the e-board or anything like that. But I just wanted to update everyone about this about what's been going on. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you for the update. I think it looks really good. I just read through it briefly, but it looks really good. So thank you for crafting that. I think we can move on to the next topic if nobody has any comments.
There was a document brought up by Harrison and Aquay, the legacy questions, kind of like a compilation of information for newly elected senators. So, Harrison Aquay, if you want to just talk about that, go ahead.
We're still inside. Wrapping up. Okay, so the transition committee came up with a set of questions, and I'm gonna link that here in the chat. So it's just a number of questions that's going to help out incoming senators and their roles and responsibilities. So like they get to know like the things that you did
Absolutely.
when you're a
And this will also be a
senator
good way to actually verify
and
that
the
I have your
things
number correctly.
um
You had
the
someone before,
things
you got my number.
the things you're hoping to work
I
on
honestly don't
as a
think I have
senator
Sonom's number anymore. I
is very
know
able to
Gilletta sent me a number the other day.
um
Um,
um
Hey, Will, can you mute your mic, please? Thank you.
message.
okay. Yeah, so it's just basically a set of
I
questions.
believe
You,
that's it.
you can feel free to comment, or you can even copy the whole doc and send a copy to either me or Harrison or anyone in the transition committee. Yeah, so that's about it. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out and we could talk. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, just to add a little bit onto what Koi was saying. So I know that like you guys may not have editing permissions. That's just so we can keep this as a template. So if you guys could all make a copy of this Google document and then answer the questions, and we'll probably come up with a transition committee email or something along those lines. But if you could just make a copy and start filling it out, so hopefully we have like all these shared like experiences about what everyone has done and what everyone's been working really hard on throughout their experience in SGA. So that way we can give this as a gift to all the incoming senators.
Yeah, we also have that previous document you had, Harrison, too. Like, so we can kind of compile things from there and then further discuss them.
Yeah, I don't know if Ricky is on right now or anyone else from Transition Committee if they want to add anything. But we're also working on an amendment to formalize the existence of it moving forward, as well as like lay out some base responsibilities, including like updating, I think the SJ Senate Starter Pack. But yeah, so we're thinking and taking all these into account. I know that everyone's I know that everyone's really busy right now with classwork and with family stuff and COVID-19. But we would really appreciate if you could take just a couple minutes to fill out all the questions, and we'll be providing a contact point to share that with later.
Is there a date you want us to have it filled out by?
Does like next Monday sound reasonable? Okay.
Yeah, the questions
Yeah.
aren't too bad.
All right, cool. Yeah, so just try to have that in. You'll send us the point of contact, like how you want them to be collected. Just again, copy the doc, make a new one, and just answer the questions, and have it by Monday. So I think we pretty much covered everything on the agenda. We went back and forth a little bit, but we kind of talked about everything. So is there any like other updates or comments on the previous items anyone wants to make?
On the agenda I see SGA Emergency Scholarship Fund. I don't know if you spoke about that. So
Yeah, it was. I think it was brought up just briefly, but really the point, it's set up now. It's functioning. We just give out the word to like anyone who need it, and just try to blast it out. Again, they have to email the care team and explain their financial situation caused by all this. So, yeah, it's just a matter of really just getting it out now. That resource to students.
thank you.
So actually, I do have a question. So, I don't know if y'all remember, but when we passed the resolution to stand in solidarity with undocumented immigrants and students on our campus, there was a like a demand kind of request in there that said through the scholarship that the SGA does annually, we will be giving out. I think it was 5 scholarships to undocumented students only, and I want to see like what is the status on the SGA scholarship that we do, and then that, because that is a promise that we made, and I do want to see if we can move forward with it.
So on the e-board side, we haven't really discussed that yet because we wanted to make sure that this $50,000 went through, and now that's all good. So we're going to be discussing which route we're going to take and how we're going to go about that now.
Can you reshare the language around that as well?
With the resolution, yeah, I'll link that up again. Give me a second to find it. When you guys have that conversation, can you loop us in just so we know like where we like officially stand on that? Because I have, so one of my friends reached out to me and saying like, hey, how is the scholarship going? Because a lot of undocumented students that are on campus are struggling because they can't officially, file for unemployment. So I definitely direct them to the care team, but I do want to see like where we can do from the resolution side, like that we passed.
Do you mind pulling up the exact language, right? I don't know about if you're able to pull it up right now or whenever, as soon as possible, because we did kind of start discussing preliminary, like what we're going to do with that, but I don't remember what we promised around that.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Let me just find it.
While Sarah's pulling that up, I just wanted to mention that I would strongly encourage student government to correspond with Maria from the Undocumented Student Services. I know that they have been working on a couple of projects to address some of the concerns that undocumented students are having around not being able to file for unemployment. So there are some resources available, and I would encourage, maybe there's a way for like SGA to collaborate with what's being created, so that way it's not having to like duplicate efforts, and maybe you can just kind of plug yourselves into something that is already working on being established specific to undocumented students.
Absolutely. So the language says supports the allocation of senatorial funds to the annual SGA scholarships.
Can you repeat that?
Sure. Support the allocation of senatorial funds to the annual SGA scholarship.
Was there anything like, because you said that we said that there were going to be like 5 scholarships towards.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was 5, but we did not limit a number in the language.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think the thing that I had with that is I know that we aren't able to only like advertise scholarships or any amount of money towards like one certain population. We have to open up to the full student body. But I think we definitely will take into account the fact that they're undocumented and whatnot when we're looking at giving the scholarship.
Yeah, so I think the conversation was at the time when we passed this was like, we understand that it cannot be open to the entire student body, but we are like making sure that we are giving scholarships to students that are undocumented and supporting them through that, while also giving out scholarships to the entire, like to the remaining student body populations.
Yeah, I agree.
Are there any other updates or comments on the previous agenda items?
So for SASN updates, like we said, we already have the survey going around asking students what their concerns are. And then we also have a meeting with Dean Pinto next Tuesday to discuss this survey and like the concerns that we've received, hopefully, and see how we're going to go about it. And we also have like a lot of questions about like clickers, if they could get refunded, because like obviously we're not using them anymore and like students already bought them. So hopefully that could work as well. But yeah, that's it for SASN. If I don't want to add anything.
On top of what Carolyn said, so the survey that we made, so if any SASN student has any concerns that they want to address, please fill it out, because like hopefully we will be addressing that soon. And if you are not a SASN student and your friends are having concerns, have them fill it out, but just say, like, we are in SPA, and so like that way I can talk to Anna and Terrell and be like, all right, so these are the students that you should be talking to. That way, like,
right, yeah.
And also like looking at it from if we do want to pursue the pushing the dates and the assignments back, like that's also we can have it in one place with the concerns and like the questions about that. So if you can please share it with the people around you, if we can also post
Yeah.
it on social media so students can fill it out, that would be really great.
Carolyn and Sarah, do you guys have any information about lab fees being reimbursed? Because obviously when you enroll in a lab, there's like 125, if
I
not more,
know.
lab fees. So
Unfortunately, no, nothing's being refunded like as of now. It's only parking and then for people who dorm. But I emailed my professor actually about that and they never got back. But I can ask again, I guess. But yeah,
yeah,
I
I mean,
definitely
because
think
there
we should
should
get
be,
refunded
since
for labs.
because labs now are being done at home and
Yeah, I
half of the
totally
material
agree.
is being transitioned. We're not even doing the lab the way
I
it's
know.
written in the booklet. So
And it's like we
Yeah,
had to
I
buy all
agree
these lab
100% on that.
notebooks, and it's like, yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
See,
and I mean, I would
See.
understand the lab notebooks. Like, you can't really get refunded for lab notebooks, but I
Yeah.
think like we put in that money so you can purchase like the whatever materials we're using for the lab, so citric
Exactly.
acid or like whatever it is, and
Exactly.
that's like expensive stuff, but we're not able to use it. So I think that is
Yeah.
something that we should definitely be advocating for.
I agree.
Yep.
do
me
we know like who we should contact or ask about that? Is there like should that be like Sasson schools or like do other schools have labs and academic deans? I'm just worried about since like from my understanding they purchase lab materials in bulk at the beginning of the semester.
Yep.
So I don't know.
I mean, but at the same time, those classes like still go on the next year, so they can use that stuff that they purchased for the next years when they're still getting those lab fees.
Yeah, but like I'm graduating, so what am I gonna do with? I mean, the booklet
Yeah,
I understand.
no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm.
But
Yeah.
you know, but the actual
No, that's
fee, like to use the stuff in the lab and like all that kind of
Exactly.
stuff, it got cut off. So, and you know, those
yeah.
lab
So I
fees
think
aren't like $20-$30. They're like at least over $100.
Yeah, they're like $100.
yeah. So I think when you guys have your conversation with, you said Dean Pinto
Yeah.
that you're talking to, I think you should definitely bring that up there, because I think if anybody's going to be able to help out with that, it would probably be her.
Yeah, I agree.
Do we have an update on refunds in general, like campus fees or whatever else that's included on our term bill?
We're still trying to get into a meeting with Vice Chancellor Amber Randolph, so I'm not sure. Dean Williams, are there any updates around that?
Yep, working on scheduling that. Are you all open to? I'm assuming it would be a Monday, right? A Monday during.
It doesn't have to be. It could just be like outside of that, and then we'll figure out who is interested in attending. But if she's able to come on a Monday, that would be fine as well. But I think it might be better on another day, just so that we can give more time to it if we need to.
Okay, will you send me some dates then, and dates and time?
Do you want me to send you? I mean, for me, honestly, anything works. I've been just chilling at home. I only have assignments for my classes, so I don't know if that's similar for all of you guys, but
okay, so maybe what I can do is I can her dates and times and then send them to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Anyone else have anything else?
Make sure to fill out the form.
I do have one thing that I want to bring up. Hey everyone. So there has been like this thing, and like I kind of need like an update, or like anyone that knows about anything, if they can relay that information to me. So, currently, like, are there any student workers currently working at the moment? And I ask that because I think if they are still working, like since they're one of the few like groups of employees that are not unionized, they probably aren't getting hazard pay, as far as I know. And I think that's pretty important because, I mean, like they're, if they're students, they're still working. There's a need there, and they're not being protected whatsoever. So I think it's good to like collect some type of testimonials of like cases where there are still student workers working that are, probably not getting hazard pay. Another thing also to bring up as well is sorry to cut you off. I just want to
No, go
get this out
ahead.
of the way. So like if anyone has anything, like please share. Also, the other thing I want to bring up is those student workers that got, laid off for the rest of the semester. Like that's like, probably, I mean, like, yes, there's unemployment, but for some students, especially if they don't live in the state, they probably have to go through a lot more roadblocks than usual, and that can be very frustrating. So I don't know if I don't know if Rutgers University as a whole is going to be planning to pay them for the rest of the semester, especially if there are those who are in a work study program. I believe there's like an obligation that that these students have to be paid. And I'm not entirely sure like what is this like the status on that. But if they are not, like that's definitely something that the SGA, because we represent the students, including those that work in the university, to like give them some type of representation and some type of you know solidarity in that, because that's there are people.
Okay, so quickly before I leave, I just also wanted to add that I am a student worker, and basically what is going on is that um well, for my specific job, I'm at a PALS program. They are paying us without working because most of our job has to do with contacting people, and obviously we can't do that. We can't do one-on-one stuff. So we are we are not laid off. We're still getting paid until the end of the semester. But for other students who have to do like um part to like represent their organization, school, whatever, to at events and stuff like that. I know that there are virtual events going on, so maybe they're still doing that, but that is not enough because how many virtual events are happening if their pay is dependent on them going to certain places. Um, lastly, looking at the CSO workers, I know two of my friends who are out of state who can no longer work as CSO. So, like you said, they are still student workers, even though they're not part of the federal work study program, but they're still student workers, and I don't think they have like um access to what we federal work students are having, which is still getting paid according to our schedule. So if any student worker is out there and they're not getting paid according to their schedule, that's a big problem because there was an email sent out by the Federal Reserve that said that students should still get paid by their schedule. So if we do a Q&A or whatever for students to answer if they're still getting paid by their schedule. If they're not, they need to reach out to their supervisor immediately because they should be getting paid by their schedule, whether they work or not.
I agree.
Would it
Actually, I'm
be
also a student worker. I'm a tutor at the Learning Center, and I mean, we still have our hours, but some of them are cut short because not many people are like scheduling online for tutoring. But generally, yeah, we're still getting paid as well.
would it be possible to get you, Anna, to forward that email to me? Because I know, at least speaking in regards to the people in my office, we haven't been.
Yeah.
My bosses are
Mhm.
absolute angels. They have been working to do absolutely everything they can to get
Yeah.
us as many hours as they can. I know typically right now all of our workers have been given an indefinite do not report to work order.
Yeah.
Um,
So I could
and
definitely forward that to you, but what I did was forward it to my supervisor and said, so this is what's happening, so what's next? So if I forward it to you, you should definitely also forward it to your supervisor, so you're not just speaking out of the blue, that there are actual, like there's an actual email, but I would definitely send that to you ASAP. Actually, I could forward that to SGA email, so it could like send to everyone again if you want.
Hey guys, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I can chime in on the CSO part. So we are still working on campus. I myself am a federal work student, and there's a couple of us, and those that are on the schedule are well, those that like some buildings are closed on campus, so those scheduled for those buildings are not working, such like Dana, CLJ, the business school. But they are given, if they want to come in, they can come in and patrol. But that I know, from what I know, they're not paying students who are at home, like Anna was saying, like her friends that are out of state. I know they're not doing that, so that's kind of interesting. And also another big part, I would say, I don't know if SGA can do this on their behalf, but since we are still on campus working, a big help could also be just, giving us, if it's possible, some money, I guess, for gloves or masks or even wipes just to wipe down the tables that we have because 200 University is still open and the public, there's a couple of walk-ins that people walk in. So, even such little things like masks, gloves, because we are still doing building checks, if we open the door, like we're gonna touch the doorknob. So gloves could be a great factor for any such little things like that.
So quick question, Navef. So is like the RUPD properly equipped with like all the cleaning supplies and like gloves and masks,
So are you
or from what I'm getting from this, like I guess they're low on it. I don't know.
Yeah, so I feel like we're low just RUPD wide, public safety wide. So I'm not sure about RUPD themselves because their headquarters is up by it's on the West Campus by the University Hospital. So I really don't like, see what they have on their side, but we do interact with police officers and stuff like that. So I would even think like just, the little things like gloves, just giving a box or so or mask would be helpful, especially like CSO wise. Like I know our supervisors had to get money out of their pocket just to buy a pack. And we've been running low, and a lot of CSOs are being very precautious and are wearing gloves and are wearing masks on their own, but from
Are
their
you
own.
just expected to have them at home and to bring them from home?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what
That's
I'm saying.
crazy.
Yeah, that's
And
not
even our
right.
own supervisors that are also students, they are getting money out their pocket. And even one of our supervisors, she's like, "Yeah, I paid like $10 for a box of gloves."
Yeah, that's not right.
Yeah.
That is definitely not right. And that's and another question. So what I mean by hazard pay is like they usually what that entails is that they would increase your hourly rate. So like are they paying you more for
No.
working? They're not.
No.
Of
Nah, they're
course
not
they're
paying
not.
any of us more. Um, it's just the same old kind of thing and and those that are out of state or they're not working, I mean essentially we're like those in the CSO department are still employed, so they're not unemployed, right? So essentially they just are just because we still can come into work, they're just not, they're home so they can't work or they have their own reasons. But essentially yeah, so if they want to even try to file for unemployment they can't. So like, if other departments in our school are still paying their, their student workers, and why wouldn't CSOs be paid? You know what I mean? I don't know who it comes down to with the payroll and stuff like that, so that would be interesting to see.
Well, there is a board of governors meeting tomorrow.
Mhm.
So I from what I'm hearing, there is a plan for some people to organize for those that have been laid off. You know, those that had the I guess the do not report status, for them to be paid, student workers to be paid for the rest of the semester, and for those that are still working, either CSOs who are still working and they're not getting at least a pay bump for the time being during this whole crisis, or for those that are getting like 4 hours a week. Like there is a group that is trying to advocate in the board of governors meeting. And I think it's important, if any of y'all are available, I can get you the information to hop in and join, because it's important for us as the SGA to you know give a voice. We these workers are, and thank you so much, Yvette, for your service and all, because like it's definitely putting your risk out there, and like to not be compensated for that is just completely wrong.
Yeah, and especially like I know this past like week or so they've been helping out with move out, so people have been coming in and speaking, and just stuff like that, I guess, would help the department, especially since I don't know if we are the only student workers on campus right now. So
I also think it's pretty important, and it's a little bit of a stretch from like what we were talking about before, because they aren't necessarily student workers, but also making sure that we are advocating for some of the university's most essential workers as well. Right now, I am at work in the Paul Robeson Center, because the run pantry is open right now. And I actually just got done speaking with two of our custodial staff on, and part of our larger facility staff. They themselves haven't been getting hazard pay, even though they are the ones that have been coming in and actually deep cleaning all the buildings, trying to make sure that we're all staying healthy. So they're actually acting as like our first line of defense against like the virus in this sense, but they're still also not getting that hazard pay. So I think that's something important for us to advocate for them as well.
Totally. Totally. Does anyone else have anything to say, or like, does anyone know any
Yeah,
other?
Ricky, when you get the information about the meeting, can you send it over in the Slack? I would be more than happy to chime in for that.
Definitely not a problem. And if anyone wants to participate in because they also have a public portion too, like to testify. If there is like a sign up link, I'll definitely share that along as well. Because the more they hear from us, they can't really go anywhere, especially since everything's virtual. So it's not like they can really ignore us.
I'm sorry, this is Dean Williams. I have to run to a meeting, but I just wanted to say on the topic of student workers that I know for like the Division of Student Affairs, we are continuing to pay student workers whether they're not work study or not. And so I thought actually that most units were still continuing to pay student workers. So I would be curious to know which student workers are no longer getting payment, because that would be something that I think we could try to look into.
Definitely. We'll find that info for you. Anyone else?
Thank you, Ricky. Could you share that in the Slack if you do get a link and more information?
Yes, I will definitely share that with everyone for sure.
All right. Should we just call motion to adjourn?
Second.
Yep.
Yes, second.
Yeah, it looks like no one else has anything to say. So, all right.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Stay safe.
Take care, y'all.
Take care, guys.
Actually, oh,
Wait, what happened, Lauren?
it's Sarah.
Oh, Sarah,
Do
my
we have
bad.
the SOIS committee on here still?
I'm still here. Yeah, I think Will
Okay,
is
and
too.
is Nikita just left?
And
Okay.
Tunanzi and Nikita. Nice.
Yeah,
This is
Nikita.
perfect.
Oh, Nikita's still here. Okay, so have we decided on how the student orgs are going to be functioning with their funds / everything that's like going on?
So we're still working on the email that we want to send out. We're like finalizing on the language. So like the questionnaire has still not gone out. So any determination is going to be, it's not going to be based on the questionnaire necessarily, but it's like a good way for us to collect info on how to go about it. But I don't know, Will, if you're still here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, or Tanzi, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that what we're most likely going to decide is not to keep the funds rolling over, and that we're going to urge student organizations to donate to the emergency fund.
What if they
Wait, I can hear you. What?
They can just
I have a question.
Yeah.
Should clubs still continue to have events, or should we just not? Because we're having events, but I don't know if we should. Like, if it's not going to count, like, I don't know if we should still do it.
I mean, so like that's like one of the drawbacks of like why we're trying to like make this decision not swift right away is because we don't want. So that's what we do not want. We don't want the student organizations to like feel that, oh, like it's not worth it because like we're not going to get points out of it. So like we're just going to like not do events at all. We still like Office of Student Life is still it's still operating as if we were on campus just virtually. And I don't know if you've spoken with your advisor lately, but they are still advising students to like in some type of way have like virtual events. I mean, it's not going to be you're not going to be penalized by it because because the fact of the matter is um it is going to be hard for students, like with all the work and like some professors not understanding that like because we're home that doesn't mean we can do more homework out all of a sudden. So like people are definitely stressed, and like maybe the last thing they want to do is do events virtually. I could be wrong. I don't want to make that assumption whatsoever. So like it's either we take consideration from the what do you call it, from the fall semester. So whatever you got tiered on the fall semester, we're just gonna give that to you, and make that, and like just start from scratch, um, or like tier based on what people did this semester. And and I'm going to use Karima. I'm going to use your org as an example because I think it's a perfect example. You didn't get to have your big event this semester, like which usually happens at the end of the semester. So I don't think it would be fair for organizations that usually have events like their big events in the beginning at the end. Excuse me, at the end of the semester to be tiered based on what you have done prior to like getting kicked off campus. So
Yeah.
that's that's like what the decisions we're trying to weigh in. It's not easy, but we're still working on it, and hopefully we get this questionnaire out soon, so that we can get a better understanding of how other student organizations are feeling.
I do think that they should tier us based off of what we were tiered last year, but they should take into account the plans we had for this semester, like, or at least the virtual events, like they can count them into, or because we've still reserved like bake sales and general bodies and all that stuff. Like I feel like they should at least count a little bit, you know. But
Well, only way we're going to find out for sure is by the questionnaire that we hopefully send out this week. We definitely want to see, but definitely thank you for your input, and it will definitely be taken into consideration. Um, yeah, I think that is it. Unless there's any other questions in regards to SYS.
Thank you.
Not really, but can you just make sure that the Slack link is put into the email that you're going to be sending out to the student orgs?
Yep, yep. That is definitely in our radar. Thank you, thank you. All right, all right. Take care, Karima. All right. Does anyone?
I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, so I guess now this is definitely a meeting adjourned for sure.
Yes, that's it.
All right, bye, y'all.
Yeah, everyone.
Bye. It was good talking to other humans.
Will, you're getting a lot of human interaction.
Am I though?
You're out of your house.